Going on, everybody? Chip on here. Don't know about you, but definitely feeling the hope, the love, and that big push for freedom here over the last week. Definitely over the last couple of days. Just looking at all the footage out of Ottawa, getting out to that rally in Red Deer, and just to talk with a number of people that, it's been years since they've, said they've seen any hope or any joy, and just a lot of smiles, some tears of joy, and it's been good to see. It's been good to see the hope come back in. So it kind of leads me to wonder, how did we get to this point? Why is there so much division in this country? Are we really divided on, regional lines and everything else that the media portrays out there? And is there a root cause to it? We obviously got to this point somehow, because I don't remember this, type of division, 6, 7 years ago for sure. So let's have a look at that and kind of look into a theory I've got as to why we're in the place we are right now. What's going on? So want to look at a couple clips from who I think is leading the true fringe minority in Canada. Our three party leaders, Trudeau, O'Toole, and Singh. I think these guys are responsible for the narrative that's been pushed for a number of years now, and why we see ourselves in this place where, an otherwise peaceful protest and convoy that has, really united the country and spurred a lot of, just good deeds, good stories, and good memories so far, as still just, getting us divided. And, is there going to be a way out of this? Probably at some point, but it just seems like these three guys, they just want to hold on to this for some reason. So let's have a look at a couple of clips here and kind of dig into what's going on here.
A small fringe minority of people who are on their way to Ottawa or who are holding unacceptable views that they're expressing do not represent the views of Canadians who have been there for each other, who know that following the science and stepping up to protect each other is the best way to continue to ensure our freedoms, our rights, our values as a country.
So we know by now it's not a small fringe minority that we're talking about. Talking about a big, big movement in Canada that has spurred international attention. And, Trudeau's nowhere to be found. The media is doing double time to, pump this narrative of, dangerous rhetoric, hateful people, racism, all these things in this convoy. And, I'm not on the ground. I can't speak for everyone. And, everyone should be individually looked upon and judged if they're doing things that are, not in accordance with law, for sure. But, to brand everybody that is getting out to these rallies and stuff as a fringe minority with unacceptable views, it's just dividing the country even further. The fact that he says that the majority of Canadians have done the right thing. I've said this a number of times. I mean, if you want to go to work in the middle of a pandemic to provide for your family, is that not the right thing to do? I mean, who is it for these, politicians and stuff to dictate our lives and tell us what the right thing to do is? This seems to be his MO. It's been going on like this since the day he got in office. And I honestly think from when he pushed to change the lyrics of O Canada, that's when things kind of started to fall apart. If a country can't come together and sing their anthem as one unified voice, we're going to start crumbling on a lot of other things. Next clip is O'Toole and his first conference regarding the convoy. Shout out to True North for this clip off of Twitter. Put some links down below.
Tweeted out support for the convoy. One of them saying that he felt Prime Minister had a vendetta against people who were unvaccinated. Do you support the convoy, its goals, its objectives, even though the Canadian Trucking Alliance says this could be disruptive? And to follow again, repeat Louis' question, will you meet with them when they come to Ottawa?
We've been talking to the Canadian Truckers Alliance, Glenn, for several months. We've seen a crisis in the supply chain coming for several months, and we've proposed policies to try and help alleviate that. The most important of which is vaccines. And we encourage everyone to get vaccinated, to get boosted. And how can we use those tools alongside the other tools to make sure that we don't see shortages on grocery store shelves? Because here's the reality. When there's a shortage of products, the costs go up, and Canadians are already 60% worried about paying their grocery bill. So we can't have policies that make that even worse, and we can't raise taxes. So that's what we've been advocating for responsibly the last few months, Glenn, is to try and tackle the supply chain crisis, encourage vaccination, not ignore problems and divide the country like Mr. Trudeau does.
You didn't answer my question.
Yes, I did, Glenn.
You didn't say whether you
critical to
you didn't say whether you
and we need to make sure we keep store shelves.
Maybe you can answer in response to my next question, sir. You can say whether.
That's why last week, Glenn, when the policy of the federal government for less than 24 hours reversed on the situation with trucking, the government was floating whether they could actually change their policy to address the supply chain shortage, and they decided not to. I've always said getting vaccination levels up, but also using rapid tests and other tools to make sure products get to store shelves, that's what a government needs to do. And that's what we'll continue to advocate for.
2 years into this, and we went from the promise of 70% rates to 80 to 90. Truckers have been out here for 2 years doing their job, delivering products. No major issues that I'm aware of. And, O'Toole should be up there standing up for everyone. That should be the position of the Conservative Party, that they're there to support charter rights and freedoms, regardless of what they might think about it. But here he is, just more non-committal, non-answers, getting run over by the bought and paid for liberal media. And it gets nobody anywhere. He's trying to ride this fence, and it pleases nobody, and it just further creates this division. Anyone that may be a typical Conservative Party supporter gets frustrated that he won't, stand his ground, and then anybody on maybe the liberal, NDP side of things gets frustrated that he won't call out and denounce the convoy. So no one's winning. And again, more fighting. So a couple of days later after that conference, this is the big solution. We need to have vaccine clinics and education programs for truckers. We need to come to the realization that after 2 years, if there are people out there that have not opted for the vaccine, they're just not going to. We need to accept this and we need to move on. Simple as that. Next clip from his January 27th press conference.
Vision we're seeing in this country. So tomorrow I will be meeting with truckers to hear their concerns, to talk about the proposals I brought 3 weeks ago to try and make sure we can keep grocery store shelves full, keep people working and work together. And I would ask Canadians that are frustrated by the convoy or frustrated by people that may not yet be vaccinated. Let's work together as a country. Let's not give up on anyone. Let's come together like we did in the first wave of this pandemic, with compassion, with the ability to overcome the frustrations we all feel.
No, I agree with the, compassion, the understanding, the unity. I can get behind that. But again, it's another one of these. This is my message one day, 3 days later, I'm flip flopping. Just like the carbon tax, the gun control, all these things. And it just further divides off anybody that is typically in that conservative party. And it just makes things more and more difficult because you have no idea where O'Toole stands on any issue whatsoever. It's frustrating. It really is frustrating. Up next, a couple of tweets from Jagmeet Singh. Haven't found any video footage of him over the last couple of days addressing the convoy, but I've got a couple of tweets here that I want to go through. So this first one, January 27th, and what I don't like about these is, he's sitting there saying that people have sacrificed over the last 2 years, which many people have due to government edicts. And, he starts to tie in this thing where this convoy coming into town is somehow dangerous to his family, referencing his daughter and then saying that there's, dangerous rhetoric coming from the convoy. With over, I think it's over 500,000 Twitter followers, this gets people riled up, and you just start associating instantly this tweet with this convoy that's coming here. And if people aren't willing to dig in and make some decisions for themselves, these things become very dangerous to put this out here. And we need to just end these one-off tweets that just describe an entire movement of people coming across the country and associate them with being dangerous. So next up, I think the tweet is January 29th. Yep. And again, referencing something that happened, 5 years ago that was tragic, and then tying that into, anybody and everybody that's coming here on this convoy. And I mean, from the videos, the pictures and stuff that I've seen to date, it's a protest. There's going to be some shenanigans for sure, but for the most part, it's been largely peaceful. And to one-off people and tie them all in with this convoy led by those that claim the superiority of the white bloodline. I mean, from what I've seen, there are people of all ages, ethnicities, races, countries, backgrounds, creeds, everything out there, and we need to start supporting that. We need to end the madness here in dividing Canadians. So to me, it just seems like the three leaders, the three biggest parties in Canada, thrive off this. I don't think it's any surprise to anyone. This is how they stay in power. They divide Canadians, they pit us against each other, and then we're too busy sitting here infighting over things that aren't even real to look past this and say, what are these parties doing? Why did we vote these individuals in if they're just going to keep spinning us around in circles, having us fight? They should be in there doing everything possible to unite Canadians and finding ways to limit government and just let Canadians live their lives. Because the more that we can promote individual freedoms along with personal responsibilities, the more we're going to be able to push this country forward. We need to respect the individual. And when we do that, the country will be better as a whole for that. So, typically I would like to say, there's some room for improvement here. Trudeau, O'Toole, Singh, they've had their time. They all need to resign. We need to clean these parties out. We need to get grassroots people in. We need to put limits on government. We need to ensure that their powers are subject to very, very stringent tests within the charter, that this type of action can never, ever happen again. So my call is for Trudeau, Singh, and O'Toole to all step down so Canadians can heal, we can unite, and we can move forward. Until we get these parties cleaned out, it's just not going to happen. So let's make sure we keep that in mind as we go forward. Peace.